Hi everyone, and welcome to our recorded ELA lesson for today, Monday, April 6th. Now, this week we're going to be studying folk tales from around the world. And in order to study folk tales, we need to have a good understanding of what folk tales are and what elements make something a folk tale. Now, in a broad definition, a folk tale is a short story that gets passed down from generation to generation, which means older people tell younger people, who then tell younger people, and so on and so forth. There's a little bit more to it, and we're going to jump into that. So, let's look at the elements and purposes of a folk tale. Folk tales are fiction stories that are passed down from a specific culture or region. Their characters in a folktale can be people or animals or sometimes even objects. And these, oops, let's get out of the way. And a lot of times, if a character is an animal or an object, it's given human-like qualities. That's called personification. We did learn about that a little bit in the second quarter when we studied figurative language. When we give an animal or an object actions or things that a human has, that's called personification. So if animals talk or if they wear clothing, things like that, that's personification. Now, folktales often teach a lesson or explain something about the natural world. Think of why we have seasons or where snow comes from, things that happen in the natural world outside. Folktales can often teach origins of these natural things. Now, folktales are going to reflect customs or beliefs of a group of people. I had said just a second ago that folktales come from a specific culture or region, and they usually are going to tell the beliefs of those people. Now, folktales are stories, and they are usually told over and over again orally or by speaking way before they're actually written down. So these are stories that have been in existence for a very long time. And before they were ever written down, they were told and told and told through speaking. Now, folktales come in 5 different forms. Now, let's look at each of those forms individually. So the first one is a myth. And a myth is a folktale that explains something about the world, such as a frightening or mysterious natural force. Now, in 3rd grade, you studied Greek mythology, and those are myths. So if we think of something like the Midas touch, or if we think of Persephone or Pandora, these are Greek myths. They often talk about like lightning. Think of Zeus. Lightning is a mysterious natural force, and Zeus helps explain that. A fairy tale is kind of the opposite of a myth in some ways, where a myth talks about some things that could be scary. A fairy tale usually is magical. It takes place in a magical land where there's royalty and princesses and princes, and usually it's a struggle between a good force and an evil force. If you think of all our classic Disney movies like Cinderella, Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, all of these movies are adapted from fairy tales, which have been passed down from generation to generation. Okay, next we have fables. And a fable is a short folk tale, and it usually involves personified animals, again, where animals are given qualities of people, and they teach a lesson or a moral. If you think of the story The Tortoise and the Hare, that's an example of personification that teaches a lesson. So if you think of the tortoise and the hare in that story, those are animals that, one, speak to each other, and two, set up a race with each other. Those are human things, right? We don't see actual tortoises and hares doing this in the wild. This story also teaches us that slow and steady wins the race. So that story is an example of a fable. Legends are folk tales that usually have a connection to a real person or event. However, it takes those actual things and combines it with some fictional parts. Let's look at Robin Hood. If we think of Robin Hood as an example, Robin Hood was a real person that set out to take wealth from the rich people in society and distribute it to people who were less fortunate. However, most of the things in that story in terms of the events are fiction. even though Robin Hood was a real person. Now let's look at tall tales. So tall tales are folk tales that have huge exaggerations that are pretty unbelievable, but they're told like they're true, and it's meant to be funny. We read Paul Bunyan when we were learning about sequencing. If you can remember when we would do mirrors on and we said, I can think about a story that I read in the order that it happened. That's when we were reading Paul Bunyan. Now, Paul Bunyan is full of exaggerations. This man is huge. He eats hundreds of pancakes. He moves entire forests by himself. Those are obviously exaggerations. Now, how are we going to study folktales? So, like I said before, folktales come from different cultures or regions, and they come from all around the world. So each day we are going to read and discuss a folktale from one of three regions, starting tomorrow: China, Africa, and Europe. And if you would like to explore more folktales on your own or from other parts of the world, you can go to this link here. You'll have to type it in, or I can send it out in Teams, but it'll bring you to a website made by Scholastic, and they have links to folktales from so many places. So many places. So today you can look at an example of a folktale. We're going to look at a Native American folktale called Fire, and this is the origin of fire. We've read two Native American folktales in class. We read the legend of Blue Bonnet and then the legend of the Indian paintbrush, if you remember those. Remember there was the girl who so loved the world and she put her doll into the fire? Yes. All right. So we're going to listen to this story here and see if it matches up all of our elements for folktales. to bring us back to our slide where we looked at elements of folktales. So let's go through these while thinking about the story we just heard. So we said that folktales are fiction stories that are passed down from a specific culture or region. So our story, Fire, matches that because it was told by a specific Native American tribe. Now we said that characters may be people or animals or even objects that have human qualities. What was given a human quality in this story? The fire. The fire was saying, feed me, to the little boy, and fire doesn't really talk, but it was given the quality in this story. We also said that folktales often teach something about the natural world. And this story was teaching about how fire needs things to grow. It needs oxygen, it needs dry wood. But it also teaches that fire can be dangerous as well. Now, we also said that folktales can teach a lesson. And this Native American tribe learned a lesson through this folktale. That yes, we need fire to stay warm and to cook, but we also need to understand that fire can get big and out of control, and we need to stay safe with fire, so we shouldn't feed it too much. So that's helping us reflect on the beliefs of this group of people. Now, if we had to look at our types of folk tales, what would we call that? What do we think? So this story is an example of a fable because it does teach a lesson or a moral, and there's a personified object in that story. All right, kiddos. So last week on Friday, you decided whether you would be participating in the book club or the article assignments for the next couple weeks. And when you go to your assignments on Teams, you will see that they have started to pop up for the week. If you are in the book club group, you are going to start reading or listening to your book tomorrow, and that'll be laid out on your learning schedule where you have your math, Mandarin, ELA, and science and social studies activities for each day. You'll see that you start that tomorrow on Tuesday. And if you start the article, or if you're part of the article assignment group, you'll see an assignment on your Teams called the Feast article, but you're not going to want to start that until tomorrow, Tuesday, because you need some information from our lesson tomorrow to complete that assignment. However, for today, everyone has an assignment on Freckle that is due. Again, you can see what it's called if you look at your learning schedule for the week, but it is under assignments on Freckle. So you're going to log on to freckle.com. You're going to click on assignments, and you're going to look under ELA. It's called messages and themes. We're going to look at messages and themes in relation to folktales this week. So let's practice that today. All right, everybody. I will see you in person very soon tomorrow. I hope you guys have a really good day. Bye.